At this time, I would like to call Christopher to the podium to deliver the welcome address.
All right. Good afternoon. Before I start, I have one observation. I don't know why all the parents sat on the left and the right, because now I'm looking straight ahead and I feel like an owl because I'm just like left, right, right. But anyway, thank you, Mr. Namiani, and as he said, I'm Christopher Russo, and I welcome you all to the commencement ceremony of the Wilson High School graduating class of 2019. Yeah, you can clap for that. Now, if your ticket doesn't say that, commencement ceremony, Wilson High School 2019, then you might just be here for the Pitbull concert, but that's not until next Saturday. But I understand your mistake because bum, 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 bum sounds just like we at the hotel, motel, Holiday Inn. No, I know, I sound just like them, but Pitbull's in the back behind the curtain. And no, I'm actually here today to talk to you about a conversation that I had with a teacher a couple months ago. So earlier this year, she asked me about my thoughts on senior year. Thoughts on graduating, the onset of senioritis, what was keeping me here, what was my motivation. I paused and I responded, I want to make the most out of all of this. Not knowing the weight of these words, I was surprised when that same teacher reminded me of our conversation just a couple of weeks ago. She told me that she had spent all year pondering what I meant by this. I must mention that this teacher is the always incisive Mrs. Taylor, the AP Literature teacher. Yeah. And my seemingly ambiguous use of the pronoun this had one of the most language-oriented minds in the school contemplating for months. But I wasn't even sure what I meant by this. I knew that my thoughts on high school were too vast and too diverse to describe it as anything else. So I had to rely on the simple 4 letters of this. I think the high school experience is so unique and specific to each of us. It finds the intersection of the things that we are expected to partake in and the freedom to craft our own interest. By day, you're obligated to balance your budget in virtual financial planning because for some reason, Mr. Peterson wants to know if you can live in inner-city Reading affordably. By night, you're performing under the stadium lights in the marching band. With this experience in mind, I know that high school is far more than courses, tests, projects, teachers, desks, and all the things that we classically associate with it. So, what aspect of high school was I trying to encapsulate? Perhaps it's when the first snowflake falls and prayers begin for delays, dismissals, and days off. Fortunately, you wake to the voice of Mrs. Karen Troutman at 5 a.m. telling you the Wilson School District will be closed today. Or was I referencing the mating rituals of bed bugs that were once spotted in the health hallway? Or was it the lower house? Or both? Who knows where they were? And the mass hysteria that ensued. Maybe it's the carts of donuts that are brought into your first period classes, interrupting whatever the teacher had planned. Offering a glazed and sprinkled breakfast when you forgot to have one. Who doesn't love the Wilson red carpet? I mean, walking into prom, greeted by hundreds of community members imitating paparazzi for just one night. Now, who could forget the front row parking spot debate? Something that I was caught in the middle of, yet I still don't get to park in the front row. Should he keep the spot? Should he not? You know who you are. But we found a compromise in a nice potted plant. Who doesn't appreciate the fact that each club, sport, or class will grow a sense of camaraderie, a feeling of community? After winning the game, following the cast party, or arriving home from your trip to Jamaica, Japan, Germany, or wherever you've traveled, you arrive to school the next day with sore legs, tired voices, or a serious case of jet lag. There were always students that knew how you felt. It's moments like these that connected us. The experiences that came from them allowed us to grow. Throughout high school, it seems as if the most impactful lessons that I learned did not come from course content. Rather, it was the classic structure of high school. I walked into freshman year with braces, a whole lot of body odor, and a baby face. but I leave this place knowing that if I threw away my razor today, I'd have a beard by next Saturday. So, the crowded hallways filled with angsty teenagers cultivated a learning environment that encouraged accidental learning. We come into high school so malleable, so impressionable. We search for knowledge in our classes, but it's the experiences in those hallways that garnered us wisdom. So when I say I didn't want to miss out on all of this, I meant it. I truly believe that each experience you take on defines you further. They are, but certainly not limited to, dancing for 12 hours in search of a cure. It is making empanadas to sell at the annual Food and Cultural Festival. It is going back to revisit your middle school only to find that they now have a frozen yogurt machine. It's all of these and more, taking advantage of experiences and appreciating the people around you. Now that same teacher, Mrs. Taylor, the one that questioned all of this, she gave me a book the other day, as an English teacher does, penned by a Harvard professor, Tan Ben-Shahar. His class, well, he teaches about the elusive nature of happiness, finding it, obtaining it, maintaining it. How does one do it? And his class, titled Positive Psychology, has risen to become one of the most popular courses in Harvard University's history. So, I'm about to quote a Harvard professor. So upon leaving this commencement, you can tell everyone that you know that in part, your education was from Harvard. Ben-Shahar finds it unfortunate that we focus on the next goal rather than the present experience, that we cannot be rewarded for enjoying the journey. Instead, reward comes after successful completion. Right now, there are many of you wanting to this go quickly. There are a lot of names to be read, and I'm sure you're wondering when this speech will end. But let us not forget the words of Albert Camus. Real generosity towards the future relies in the present. It is tempting to rush things, but perhaps the best investment in your future is giving yourself time to appreciate what you worked so hard for. Now, I cannot change how you engage in your high school experience, but from this day on, I challenge you. Note every opportunity, every positive experience that lies before you. Say yes. Take it. Whether it's putting down your phone during a concert and just listening to the music, or enrolling in an art class even though you can't do much past finger paint, or embarking on a path of personal fulfillment in spite of the doubters and cynics. I encourage you, Wilson High School class of 2019, to embrace the present, because I hope you don't miss out on all of this. Thank you. Now I'd like to call to the stage Catherine Burkert, our first student speaker at large.